Almost always and almost everywhere, people get this wrong. They tend to prefer to own stocks from their own country, in America, the biggest and broadest stock market in the world, most diverse, but also in small countries. The fact is that when you think of broad categories of equity, the very long returns, 30-year returns of them, tend to be almost identical, if not identical, to other broad categories of equity, if the categories are calculated correctly. There's a lot of incorrect ways to calculate equity returns, but calculated correctly, in the long term, they get real similar, because in the long term, as I wrote about in my Only Three Questions book, shifts in supply 7, 8, 10 years from now are much more important in determining pricing than shifts in demand, and can overwhelm any change in demand. Demand fluctuates in the short term based on human emotion. Supply can be increased or decreased nearly infinitely to overwhelm any perception of superiority in a category. And so if you look at US versus foreign, and you go back close to forever, they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth of US doing better than foreign for a few years, foreign doing better than US for a few years. Right down the middle is the totality of global, since the world is a little more than half US equities in money value. And what that means is you really get a smoother ride to that long-term equity return if you don't focus on your local home country bias and instead invest globally, diversify globally, aim at the world market. In some periods, you'll do worse than the American market, or if you're French, the French market, or if you're Japanese, the Japanese market, and sometimes for a long time. But in the end, it comes back to being the same. And if you're in one that underperformed for a long time, global helps you. If you're in one that outperformed for a long time, it's not too long before, if you're just in that country, you're going to have a disappointing time. Think globally, invest globally. It really gets you to the equity return in the long term in the smoothest path.